Hello, Chip Thompson here, and I am replacing some mailboxes. This is the box here. You can see it's been in contact with the mortar over there maybe about 10-12 years, I believe, and it has rotted to the point where they were afraid they were going to lose mail. And of course, see if we can get inside here. You can see they would lose mail to the great abyss of the mailbox, the brick mailbox. So the steps to complete this project was one, to take this grinder here and run it down the top or the spine, if you will, strong point of the mailbox. As you can see, it's cut right along there. And once we had that cut along this top edge, I was able to fold those pieces in from each side. And fortunately the back was rotted out enough, I just knocked it out and pulled the whole thing out. The next step I'm going to have to do is get this here mortar cleaned off of here, both sides as well as the top. Excuse me, because what's going to happen with the next mailbox is it's going to fit exactly the same size, so obviously I can't even slip it in. But as you can see, they only use mortar for about the first 4 inches around the front. So we will next take the same saw and we'll make multiple scribes all along this edge and cut that out. Once that's done, we'll simply slide in the new mailbox and then put mortar back in here again in such a way it's going to hold the new box. Recommendation on the new box is to use aluminum that won't rot. As you can see, this is all brick and it stayed very wet. There is a crack in the top of the mailbox, probably letting water in. It stayed very wet and that rusted them out. But moisture is going to get to it, so my recommendation is definitely use aluminum. That's it for this one. Thank you. As you can see here, we've started cutting this. This is my angle grinder with a high-speed diamond blade on it, and just literally start cutting right into here. And now that I've made these several notches like this, I can actually just take my chisel and hit that at an angle. This might be a bit thick right here, but this one right here is going to bust off down here. It's going to bust off, no problem. Just hitting the hammer at an angle. That's a real big plus. So like this here, I'll probably need to split that one. But just continue that process all the way around, cutting those notches out, and then that will just come out real easy. Now that I have chiseled this out, I of course made these scribes, just hit them with the chisel on the side. They really pop loose quite easily. You have to be careful not to cut into the brick, and you might even make a lateral cut like you can see I did here, just to make sure that it didn't chip the brick, but it's really not a big deal. Okay, the next step is, if you can see it with the light here, it's inside these here pieces right here. This mortar has actually been leaning against the mailbox, so it's exactly the same size as the new mailbox, or pretty close. So it's not going to let the new mailbox slide in place as it needs to. So the next thing we got to do is clean that out. You can see it goes all the way back and up through here, and the same way over here and up there. So we've got to get all that cleaned out so a mailbox will fit in here. Well, as you can see here, I have found that the new mailbox is not fitting this slightly out of round section of the brick. So I want to make sure and clarify that if you do need to cut the brick, if you be careful not to, but then if you have to, this is the next thing to do, is make it notched out just the same way as the rest of the material. And then again, you can take your chisel across these points and knock it off and it'll be clean. You can see that all my cuts are very similar depth. See here, very similar depth. So they're going to, when they chip off, they're going to be relatively clean. Okay, here we go. We're finally at the finished product. And as you can see, new box is in, mortar all the way around, still wet. These are the tools I use to put the mortar in a tuck pointing trowel. As you can see, this is kind of like a frosting tube. Of course, that's the brush I use for wiping off the excess with dipping it in this water right here. And of course, there is my mortar. So really, once we got all that etched out, it's just a matter of putting the boxes back in and then put the glue them back in, if you will, with the mortar. And it takes some time to get that all set and just right, and then you got to give it some time to dry and then maybe smooth it out. The trick is, of course, getting it done before it dries solid. And also a good idea not to leave too much hanging out on the brick. You can get acid to clean that off with, but I want to try to avoid that. Okay, there you go.